It's the Underpowered Hour. On this week's show, we're joined by the legendary Nick Dimbleby to talk all about Freelanders and his visit to the Beres workshop. And now, without further delay, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Beres, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at theberescollection.com or follow us on Instagram at Beres Collection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Goss.
Thank you to everyone joining us today. I'm the octane selector to Steven's O2 sensor. I'm the manual adjustment of podcasting, Ike Goss. I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
All right, Ike and Nick Dimbleby, and not just Nick Dimbleby, but Nick Dimbleby live right here in the workshop. Yeah, live from downstairs.
Downstairs, and sorry, go on.
In the hot seat. No, right here in the guest spot there, which is really just kind of like tucked away in a broom closet in the workshop here visiting us down in Southern California. Welcome, Nick, to the Beres Collection shop, and thanks for hanging out today.
No, thank you.
You know, Steven, they say the first vehicle 70% of the world's population has seen is a Land Rover, but what they don't say is 70% of those were actually photos of Land Rovers taken by Nick Dimbleby.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's true. Quite an accolade.
That's
what
right.
I'd like to say is that when you say the hot seat, this is the hottest place basically in your workshop, because you're upstairs in a really nice air-conditioned room.
Beautiful air-conditioned room. Yep, it's true.
But that's fine.
It's like 120 degrees in the workshop. That's where we've set Nick.
Ooh,
yeah,
Southern
we're gonna.
California.
Yeah, it is. It's a hot day today. Yeah, it's beautiful here. It's a nice 72 degrees here in the office, but it's a sweltering in the workshop right now. Not air conditioned down there, and yeah, not envious of Nick's position. He's never coming again. He's never visiting again. Yeah, he had to teach someone to drive an unsynchronized transmission. He had to help us wrap a pallet full of shit for Ike. It's really been a genuinely unpleasant experience all day here. So,
It's been great. No, I've really enjoyed myself. It's been good to have a look around finally after all these years.
Yeah, after all
imagining
these years.
what it's like.
Well, opening drawers in Steven's workshop is not recommended. You will definitely find something that you'll regret
that's true.
seeing.
That's true. You do have to look at some of the drawers, though. They are neatly organized.
Okay,
they are neatly organized. Yeah, just start looking around.
Flammable.
Don't look over there. Don't look in that drawer. Yeah, don't look there. No. That's oof. Yeah, okay. Oh my. Oh my. Well, in the news this week, and I know this is a topic that is near and dear to all of our hearts, Nick and I probably, maybe a little bit more than Ike, but the big news, this is huge. This is probably, this is some of the biggest Land Rover news that has come out in, I don't know, years probably.
Since the
Freelander 2, Land Rover, JLR, is bringing back the Freelander name. Finally.
Is that right?
They are. They're bringing it back.
I didn't know that.
They are bringing back the Freelander name, and they are bringing it back in a very special way as an EV, no less. And that's a collaboration with their new, seemingly best friends, the Chery company in China. They're doing a collaboration with them on an all-electric JLR branded, Land Rover branded vehicle in China that they will be calling the Freelander.
Wow. So that is the cherry on top.
It's the cherry on top. It's the cherry on the Freelander is what it is. And I personally will be moving to Shenzhen to purchase one, so that I can own a new Freelander. Now we're not sure exactly what the timeline is for this. What we're going to see so far is a development cycle. There's been no sort of indication of trim or spec or any of that sort of stuff. Just that it is in fact happening, and it will be called the Freelander. Which really, to be fair, is the only news we actually need. I think everyone can agree that now that we know it's called the Freelander, we're in. I don't need any more than that.
Is it going to be called the Freelander?
I don't know. That hasn't been made clear. I do think it's kind of like, it's like a reboot of the Freelander. I think it's fine to just call it the Freelander again. Just start over.
I think just Freelander straight.
Yeah, just Freelander. Maybe
That's great.
Freelander again. Yeah.
Freelander.
That's great.
Freelander again.
I hope they're going to have
the freest
Do you
lander.
remember the original badge? That was really cool. The sort of the script,
scribbly, right? Yeah, like kind of
They
a
need to bring that
piracy kind of looking thing. Yeah,
yeah.
I hope they do.
It was like the Jurassic Park Lost World sort of font. Had that sort of like elemental.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it very much was.
We spent a lot of time coming up with this.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sort of look.
Yeah, we were chatting earlier in the week with our roving reporter, our good friend James Drake. He questioned the whether it was a good idea for Land Rover to make an electric vehicle, as the original Freelander wasn't exactly free of electric issues. So making a vehicle that was entirely electric, it's an interesting idea.
Well, I think fortunately that part will be handled by an experienced electric vehicle manufacturer in Cherry Motors, who probably makes more electric vehicles than any other manufacturer.
That's true.
On the planet.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's right. And he did also mention that it might also make the O2 sensor slightly easier to service. And I did say that may be true, but it somehow will still have O2 sensors, because it's a Freelander. It's got to have difficult to service O2 sensors. So
they're just using leftover componentry from the original Freelander 2 line and putting electric.
That's exactly right. Yes, exactly. They're actually just using the leftover Freelander bodies, and they're just going to put an electric skateboard under it. There's so many surplus Freelander bodies that they're just going to swap them out. I think it's a great idea.
It's a sharp looking car.
I love it.
I still think. And in fact, funnily enough, I was looking at Freelanders on eBay earlier, just as
as you do.
And Freelander 2s in the UK, particularly, are pretty expensive. If you want a low mileage one of those now, you're talking about £15,000,
right?
Which is about
that's crazy.
$20,000.
Now has that gone
up? It's gone up. Yeah, I don't know quite why, but it's incredible.
It's Phil Bashel. That's why Phil is buying up the Freelanders, I think. Yeah,
and these are 10-year-old cars. These are the last Freelander 2s were 2015. So
right,
these cars are 10 years old and they're £15,000.
Now, is that because you'll save money on the backside with like insurance and these sorts of things because it's a little bit older?
I think there's definitely there's an interest in these cars because they're a good size. They're pretty practical. The diesel ones get good mileage, so it's a sensible choice.
That's fantastic.
No one will steal it.
Yeah. Well, it's the only Land Rover right now that isn't being stolen. That's the thing. You can't buy the new ones. It's just going to get stolen. So the old Freelanders, they don't get stolen. You don't get very far before the check engine light comes on and they go into limp holding mode. So it's a nice safety feature,
So speaking of that, you guys went in on a test drive in a Freelander. How did it pass? Did it fail?
Nick, what did you think of the undisputed king of Land Rovers, the G4 Freelander?
Well, what can I say? I mean, it was very, very impressive. And when I turned up here today, I mean, it was parked out, sun-baked in all its glory, with all the paintwork looking resplendent in faded orange.
That's right.
And all the G4 edition decals are all sort of looking a little bit less.
That's right.
Sort of
mostly baked off.
Yep. Exactly. Mm-hmm. In fact, the Freelander badge we talked about is unique because it actually looks like a mirror. It's all the color is completely gone.
Just gone.
But that's just the external appearance. I think the key thing is, and this is something that I was very impressed with, is we got in it, we turned the key, started first time, and we moved. We moved, didn't we? We went to a petrol station and put the first bit of petrol or gas, I should say, in there for how many years?
Oh, it's been a couple of years since I put new petrol in that car. It obviously doesn't go a lot. I mean, we've got maybe 5 miles or less before we have to rebuild the engine. So in between, we
doubled that today.
We doubled that today. We probably did 8 miles. It now needs an engine rebuild, but we did it pretty good. Nick definitely put the beans to it for sure. Really went for it.
I did. It was basically reliving my youth because
that's right.
Because Freelander in 1997 was when it first came out, that was actually the preview for the Freelander. Was the first job that I did for Land Rover it was early 1997. So it's basically reliving my youth, getting behind the wheel of one of those again, and it was great, really good.
Yeah, getting behind the wheel, not being able to lower the seat, and
I forgot that bit. Yep.
Playing
So
with
we're
the cup
there,
holder. Yeah, kind of have to just sort of, you're sort of like, why doesn't the seat go down? And then
because the headlining on the top, the sort of sagging headlining, just brushing your hair.
Brushing your hair a little bit. And then we tried to sort of get the sunroof to work properly, which we sort of eventually figured out. And then the back window keeps opening itself. So we've kind of got that. There's a bit of a gremlin there.
That's a safety device.
That's a safety feature. Yeah,
because
exactly right. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a little known fact that if the car is about to run out of battery, the rear window will drop down, so you're still able to open the rear tailgate. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to open it. So actually, I think that's someone's really thought about that.
That's right. Exactly.
So when the brakes fail and it goes into a river, you can escape.
Exactly. They think of everything. It's
it is drum brakes on the back, so the brake fail is a real possibility. And a car that was made in 2003 with drum brakes on the back. So it was it's a bold car. It is a bold vehicle, and like Nick said, it's not. This one is not necessarily a prime example, but it is a unique car. I don't know how. I only know of one other G4 edition car in the U.S. There's not a lot of them because I believe they were all driven into a swamp. But this.
Cash for Clunkers really did a number on those cars.
This one was turned in as a Cash for Clunkers car. It was. Yeah, I have the title.
No way.
I have the chain of title. I pulled the chain of title on it, and it was donated, and I saved it from donation. I managed to pull it back out of that chain, so put an extraordinary amount of money into it and make it run again.
So some person previous to you donated it, got the tax rebate, and then sold it.
Well, somebody who wherever it went, then they sold it to somebody who then I eventually acquired it from. Yeah, so. There you go. So this was a Cash for Cars car.
I would love to know how many Freelanders are left in the US.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think a lot. I don't think.
Well, I have seen a few. I've seen
a
few.
Yeah,
they appear.
They are.
I remember I was in Manhattan, a couple of years ago, and just driving, and then all of a sudden, this it looked like a really, really good condition Freelander just drove straight past, and I was like, wow, that's it. It was one of those things that unfortunately I couldn't chase after it. That would be a bit weird, wouldn't it, actually, I suppose, to chase after it and actually try and flag them down to say...
You know what? Liza and I chased a Freelander in Calgary for 15 whole minutes. We lost them, unfortunately, in traffic. But it was an orange Freelander. It even looked like it might be a real G4 Freelander.
Wow, okay.
And we chased them for a solid 15 minutes, and they evaded us. I think because they thought we were trying to kill them or something. And... They got away. They got away from us, unfortunately, but we did. We chased them for quite a while, trying to get to them, but alas, they evaded us.
It reminds me of my friend who was in a subway station.
No.
Did I tell you about this? He's in a subway station, and there's a lady walking ahead of him, and she starts picking up her pace, and he's like, "Oh, she must know that the train is coming," so he starts picking up his pace, and then she starts running, and then he starts running, and she's like, "Ah!" And he's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean to make you think I was chasing you. I thought."
I thought the punchline was then he said, "Do you own a Freelander?"
No.
Yeah, no, it was a joyful experience as Freelander driving often is. Now, by the time we got it back to the workshop, the service engine soon light was on.
That was a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. But then,
well, that's all you get is 5 miles between service intervals.
I think I did hoof it a little bit too much, probably. But then, having said that, when we got back, I thought I'd try the good old fashioned. Control Alt Delete. So I switched it off and then just waited 30 seconds, switched it back on again, and hey presto, the light went, didn't it? Gone.
Nope, totally fine now. So
problem solved.
Back in business.
How fast did you get it up to?
I wasn't looking at the speedo. Were you?
Yeah, maybe 40, 50 miles an hour, maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because you step on, we were talking about it, you step on the accelerator and you hear a pretty impressive noise.
Throaty.
But nothing really happens. You don't really go any faster. You just, it makes a lot of noise, but you just sort of continue at the pace that you were going before. So, You just use more gasoline, I guess, but you don't accomplish really anything. So, but no, it was fun. It's a fun drive, and yeah, it's you just have to have the OBD2 computer with you all the time because there's always something. The issue with this car is that it misfires quite a bit, and that's probably a little bit of dirty fuel injectors and some of that sort of stuff. So we're still working out the bugs. It also sits for months at a time, and so it's never going to be a high performer when it sits around like that. But it just means that Liza needs to get out and drive it more is really what it is. And we're going to do that. We're going to make a commitment to driving that car more. John Kosich and I were committed to driving it to Anarch. We were going to do it, but unfortunately schedules just did not allow. But we're going to find an event at some point in the future. John and I are committed to drive that car to an event because why not, right?
Count me in.
Yeah,
count me
we're
in.
Going to do it. Well, as you've committed to, for the what is it, the 25th anniversary of the G4 thing from Vegas?
Yep, that's it.
You've said you'll drive that car, and we will have it ready for you, and I will follow you with a trailer, so that that whether under its own power or riding on a trailer, you'll get through that event in the G4 Freelander.
Perfect.
You need a chase team every time you take that thing 100%.
Out. Yeah, you need a full pit crew. It's like a Dakar vehicle. You need one of those big forward controls full of tools and a workshop and everything to go with it.
Some people think that like vintage Lamborghinis or something are like expensive classics to own, and require lots of maintenance. They've never had a Freelander.
But of course, the problem is that it's the V6, isn't it? That was the Achilles heel. Whereas 100%. Over where I come from, it was the diesel, the 2-liter diesel, and
it was the V6 engine, but it was also the automatic transmission. Oh. And the
viscous
cooling system.
Yeah. That viscous like drive shaft thing. Because it's also interesting when you put it in neutral and try to push it. It's like trying to push a house off its foundation. Like it takes like 5 people to push it. It's crazy. It's such an interesting vehicle. So weird. I love it so much.
That's why we love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the greatest. It's the greatest car. Now, I have controversially, and Nick and I were talking about this earlier. As we start down the path to restore the Freelander, maybe we'll start an internet poll. We're talking about the paint, and the paint, as Nick has said, is seen some sun, and it's a 90s clear coat. So there are spots, quite a few, that have no clear coat left. And some spots that have no paint left. And it's it's a real tapestry, let's say, of different shades of orange, where, some has seen more and less sun. And the question is sort of like, do we leave it like that? Is that just the way it should be, as nature intended? Or should we wrap it back to, because we're not painting this car, let's be honest, we've already spent way too much money on this car. We're not gonna paint it. But should we wrap it back to its full, pristine Tangiers orange? So I don't know.
Patina. There's patina, isn't it? Right.
Right.
That's what it is. It's genuine.
The value in a patina.
It's genuine 22-year-old patina.
I think you should paint it. A very high quality original paint.
The original Tangiers 2-stage paint. Yeah.
Yeah. Just take that car all apart, paint it inside and out.
The whole thing.
Door jams.
Whole thing. Full concourse restoration.
Everything.
Yeah. It would look.
And then when you're pushing it'll look
really nice. That's true.
Stunning.
When you have 5 people pushing it, because it's really hard to push. Yeah, that's.
But the other thing is the badges, as we said. Those badges are pretty special. I mean, that Freelander badge at the back is unique.
So
truly,
cool. Yeah, so cool and hard to get. They're tough to come up by. Yeah.
Always like the little brake light with the.
We were talking about that today. Yeah.
Land Rover oval brake light.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool when I was.
So it's a little known fact. Yeah. I think the Freelander is probably the car with the most Land Rover badges, but you've got to find them. There's I'd say probably about. I think I remember this being a thing when it was launched. About 15 or 16 Land Rover badges on that car.
Yeah, which is interesting because now, Professor Dr. Monsignor Jerry McGovern doesn't want any Land Rover badges on anything. And yet he was the creator of the most Land Rover badged car of all time. It's just a very strange change of heart,
It's if there's one constant in design, it's
point.
change,
It's
and
okay.
it's okay to change your mind.
Well, it's reductive, right? The land also needs to be redacted.
So maybe he overdid it over
Maybe
that
he did
particular
do
point,
too much.
and he just it.
He's like, no, this was too much. This was too
Have
much.
Nick, have you seen the renderings of the next generation sort of, well, I won't say the next generation, but the next like Range Rover design, where the headlights
I
get
haven't.
even.
No, I wish. I mean, they don't. Unfortunately, I don't get to go into the inner sanctum to see the next generation stuff. Unfortunately,
you don't have to.
Yeah, it's on the internet. If you imagine, Nick, a bar of soap, that's it. That you've done.
It's a bit sad, really, isn't it?
As of 1980, I think it's 1988. I don't know if you know, Ike, but the United States military eliminated manual transmissions from their fleet of vehicles because too many recruits were coming in unable to drive the vehicles. And so they decided, when they moved from the Jeep to the Humvee platform and to the LMTV, that one of the specifications was it had to be an automatic transmission, because there were too many people that just didn't know how to do it, and they didn't want to train them.
Yep. And that extends to aircraft as well. So all helicopters and stealth bombers, automatic transmission.
Okay.
Automatic transmission.
You just put it in
fly.
F
Yeah.
for fly.
Just flies.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's cheap.
Saves on training.
So that's the thing. So we need to get Ike onto a.
You got to give him some lessons in the Freelander on how to drive it. I mean, it is a precision machine, and
steering felt really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's tight. Yeah, we tightened it maybe too much. It might be a little too tight now, but you know what? Hey, again, precision machine. When you're dealing with that kind of power, you need to make sure you have a firm grip on it. And next things are probably making a break.
How many horsepower does a Freelander make?
Not a lot. I don't know. It would have been.
Was it like 180? I think.
Yeah, something like that. It
felt like 180.
Yeah.
What?
Something like that.
I'm gonna have to fact check this. I'm gonna fact check this. I don't
more than
believe
100, less
that
than
thing
200.
has 180 horsepower.
Yeah,
they're quite loud.
Very loud.
Freelander.
It really makes a noise.
Loud and slightly asthmatic.
So, what are your guesses
180,
here?
180,
Yeah, 180. I would say I'll take 165.
Go Ike.
165.
Is that the answer?
Nick's probably right.
Well, I guess it depends on which
V6,
North American
V6.
V6.
It'll be V6, yeah.
Are we talking about Freelander 1 or 2?
North American
Freelander
V6.
1 horsepower.
Which is, I think, a slightly different spec than the UK V6.
Yes, I think it had more emission stuff on it.
I did have a lot more emission shit on it, which I think actually made it shittier.
Did you know this was developed alongside the Volvo XC60?
That was the Freelander 2.
Did not know that.
It was the Freelander 2, yes, because that was when Ford had Land Rover. So when the Freelander 2 was launched, it was, I think, shared a lot of commonality with the XC60.
And this is the 6-cylinder.
That's it, KV6.
Engine?
Yeah,
the KV6, yes, of course. Yeah, I have the manuals. The KV6.
Apparently, it was in a motorcycle.
Right.
Wow, that would have been. It's pretty big.
That's a big
motorcycle.
We should talk about. We should talk about that. That's fair. That's actually pretty interesting.
Shit.
That can't be right. It's a huge engine.
Yeah, it's enormous and heavy. It's so heavy.
No, maybe that's just. I think I made a mistake. I clicked on a V6 engine instead of the KV6 engine in the link. Dual overhead cam. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
You ready? Ooh, I got to convert. Oh, yeah. 148 horsepower.
148. Oh, we were both
148
wrong.
horsepower.
Oh,
wait. 148 to 187 horsepower.
There we
to
go.
187. I'll bet the UK one was more powerful than the US version.
You guys were in the zone.
We're in the zone.
You guys were in the zone.
I'll tell you what, though, it feels like 15, when you're in there.
24
when it has
24
the automatic
valve quad cam.
It sure is. It's got all the cams. It's got all the valves.
All the cams.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It really does.
I guess that KV6 engine was 2 or 2.5 liters. So that's probably the difference.
It was 2.5.
Yeah.
Here we go. Look, I've just Googled it now. So yeah, power 175, and it said here the target for this engine is 250 brake horsepower at 7,400 RPM.
I can't imagine that at 7,000 RPM.
I think this is on X Power forums, so I suspect this might be an tuner, an MG version.
Yeah, let's get this thing on the dyno.
Oh,
let's see what we can do. Really tune this thing up.
Did you know that Kia manufactured that engine in Korea under license?
This is clearly. So it says here something like. On this forum, it's saying that the KV6 was an extremely reliable engine. So I think this must be
must be a different thing. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. Yeah, it's a different thing. You know, what made it such a great engine is the fact that there are two sets of timing belts, one on the front of the engine and one on the back of the engine, and that the way that it's mounted in the Freelander, they're both completely inaccessible.
And moving at different speeds.
And trying to time them, you need to get to both of them at the same time. And even with the specialty tools that Land Rover provided for it, it was impossible. So having the engine retimed and getting it back into time is nearly impossible. Nearly impossible.
You literally haven't got time for that.
You can't time it. It's not timeable. No. And we did it, but it is, Ed, thank God, worked at the Land Rover dealer while they were servicing these cars and had like the dark art of how to do it. But someone who had never done it before would have zero chance of ever getting it right. There's just no way. You never ever get it back into time.
So I've got an answer for you here. Why don't you import a diesel Freelander?
Yeah,
because they're over 25 years old.
They are. You're right.
So you could bring in really rusty Freelanders from Europe, and then you could then buy. Why is Ike laughing?
Yeah,
and then you could buy like really rust-free ones over here. And put just take the old rusty body off and put the. So just be absolutely pristine, wouldn't it?
Diesel,
what a great idea.
It's a good idea.
Do that.
Actually. We should do that.
So is that a business opportunity?
They wouldn't be legal in California because anything post 1997 that is diesel is not legal in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. But you could. It has to meet California emissions if you do that, which nothing would.
It wouldn't.
No, nothing does. But
so as a market. As a market, it wouldn't work then. So,
it would be hard without California.
I was thinking could be a business opportunity to do that. And
why not?
Sell them
maybe the Midwest. Maybe the Midwest would. Texas? Anything. You can do anything you want in Texas. So maybe,
I think we're joking. He thinks we're joking.
No. This is a huge venture.
I fully support this idea, and I think that you should both invest as much of your net worth as possible into this venture.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, if you're looking for a diesel swap Freelander, freshly imported from the UK, drop us a line. Let us know. Let's gauge the interest.
Who needs LS Defenders?
No.
We don't.
LS Defenders are of the past. Diesel swapped Freelanders. That's where we're going.
The future.
That's the future. 100%. That's the future. Yeah.
Perfect.
Liza wants to electric swap the Freelander, but because of its insane drivetrain, it's actually apparently really difficult. It would be really, really hard to do. That doesn't mean we're not going to do it.
Unless you're Cherry.
Unless you're Cherry, in which case, no problem.
Good, just get the Cherry skateboard
underneath.
Put the classic Freelander on top.
Retro Cherry
on top. Yeah, it's the Cherry underneath. Yeah,
that's it.
There you go. Perfect marketing campaign. Cherry underneath.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, at that, Nick, it has been nothing but an absolute pleasure having you here. We appreciate you popping onto the show, as you, of course, are welcome anytime. You're a de facto, co-host here of the show. You spend nearly as much time on the show as Ike and I do at this point, and we always love to have you, and always love to hear what you're working on. What do you get coming up on the old Nick Dimbleby photo tour there? Where in the world are you traveling to these days?
Yeah, well, so it's been a busy few weeks. I've been doing some stuff with the new Defender Octa, which obviously I'm not sure when is this going out. Is this going out
Monday?
Monday.
It's still
embargoed.
Before, it's top secret.
So I can't say anything. No, I
can't say anything.
So nope. So that's it. So, but so the Octa, which is coming out or not coming out, but is being revealed to the world finally on the 3rd of July.
Very cool.
So I've been doing a few previews, which is why I'm over here. So there's a few customer previews where People can go and see the car and spec their own versions. Nice. It's been a fun thing to do. And then also, again, a little bit sort of slightly secret, but it's already been talked about, the Range Rover and Range Rover Sport BEV, the fully electric versions of those. So we're working with those at the moment, doing some of the test and development, filming and photography. So that's what we're doing. So
nice.
So stuff that's secret, but it has at least been sort of
talking about it, but it's still still haven't seen
a little bit under wraps. Exactly.
Nice. So nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Which is one of the frustrating things about the job quite often is you get to do some pretty cool stuff, but you can't really talk about it.
Right. And then you'll be back here again for Pebble Beach, yes, for the Queen's collection of Land Rovers.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty amazing fact. I think actually, when you think about it, the first time that I think any 4x4 has been shown at Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach.
Oh yeah,
we were just talking about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you'll be here. Michael Bishop will be here. Leonard and Joe E. The whole gang. It's going to be quite the event there this year at Pebble Beach. So yeah,
and I mean, cool. I don't know how many people are going, but the vehicles themselves are absolutely stunning, amazing vehicles. Obviously with the Royal Connection as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, there's one car in particular which is a 110 that was driven by the Queen for, I think she had it right at the beginning, 1983, when the 110 first came out.
Nice.
And she drove it all the way until I think 2001 when it was replaced with another 110. So that vehicle will be at Pebble Beach. So and there's a ton of photographs of her driving it.
That's awesome.
On the internet. So and it's a V8 as well, real cool 4-speed V8. And there's a really great YouTube video where she's driving it pretty hard on the Sandring estate with the cameraman actually in the back of the car. It's a really cool thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
We'll have to put a link to it somewhere in the show notes.
Yeah. We'll put them in the show notes. That's awesome. And yeah, that's so cool. I mean, and what an amazing connection to, Land Rover. And she's so super cool, that she's out there booting around in the Defenders and things. And, such a tiny little lady in these giant, off-road vehicles. This is awesome. Really, really, really cool. Really, really
it seems she was a keen driver for sure.
Yeah. She loved driving, which is awesome. And they wouldn't let her drive on the road. But
no, they did. She drove herself quite a lot.
Really? Like around? Totally. Like, what happens if you run into the Queen? Like if you get into a traffic accident with the Queen, what happens? You get executed? Yeah, on the spot.
So funny enough, my parents were students in London in the 60s, and they said they remember basically they were on a walk through Hyde Park, and the Queen came past at high speed in a Rover. So that was, but they did give her a little wave, and she waved back. It was great.
Oh. So what if the Queen Regal runs someone over? Like they throw that body in the Thames, right? Like nobody ever.
I didn't ever get to chat with the Queen, but I'd imagine she would be pretty horrified. I mean, she was a she's a lovely lady. She wouldn't have been. Yeah,
but for the good of the country, though, they'd have to sweep that under the rug. They'd have to.
They feed the corpse to a hungry mob of corgis.
Yeah, that's right. Or swans.
Yeah. And swans.
Yeah.
They're vicious. Those things will
just
take all the
whole thing.
They'll
right
eat
down
the whole
to
thing.
The bones and everything.
It's gone.
It's fucking just
If you've never seen a swan eating a human femur, you haven't lived.
It's quite the thing. Yeah, it's quite the thing. Oh my God. On that bombshell, it's been a slice, Nick. Thanks for joining us, and have a safe trip around the world to photograph the best of Land Rover. And we'll see you again here soon. And drop by anytime. We'll have to have you on again to get the download on the Octa once it's safe to talk about it. And
totally.
The new sports and all that sort of business. So we'll pencil in some time. We'll have the Ministry of Scheduling reach out and pencil in some time there. And until then, stay well, travel safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Beres, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Beres. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.